You've been a band for how long now?
Fully.
Roughly 3 years now.
Yeah, like,
Me 2.5,
yeah,
because I joined later.
yeah, like, it was me and Amelia and someone else at first who was singing with us, and then that kind of all fell apart. Not didn't really fall apart, but like, we just ended up kind of finding everyone. So it's been like 2.5
Yeah,
years.
because we
2.5.
joined about the same time.
Yeah.
So
How has what the debut single needs to be, in terms of both sound and what you want to say with it, changed and developed in that time?
I don't know, like I found a demo of it the other day on my laptop that we'd recorded, like on photo booth of all things, and it was just like me and Amelia in the living room, just like jamming something, and then it just kind of all unravelled. Like we were going out quite a bit, so we just kind of wrote about that, and now it's just kind of, I don't know.
I think as well, we're playing live, we've tried to get across the live energy we have when we play it,
Yeah.
rather than before it was just us like hammering it out in the studio, but like trying it out live gives us more of an idea of what we want it to sound like.
Yeah. It's kind of like the way they recorded it was quite raw, and Ronan, the sound engineer, really wanted to kind of capture that live energy to it.
Was that a Green Door?
Yeah.
Yeah. Had you been in that space before, previously?
no.
I'd heard of it but never been at that.
Yeah.
Why go for that space? What was it that drew you to it?
The label worked really close with them, so it was the label's kind of idea. And they pretty much do all the stuff with them, I think. All the stuff that they fund, they do with Green Door. And they kind of both have the same ethos, which is like so they're both kind of non-profit organisations, so...
The label being...
Last Night from Glasgow.
How did that come about?
We did the session with Crowdy's Flat, and then basically like, what was it like?
It was
a couple of days later.
It was fast.
Yeah, basically we just got
really lucky.
yeah.
What happened was, so Ian, the guy that runs the label,
Was in the bath.
he was in the bath. So he says that the only time he has to catch up with anything is when he's sitting in the bath. And it just so happened that he has
I think
Eva's dad on Facebook.
It's like a Facebook group, Simply Thrilled. My dad and a lot of his musical pals are part of that. So they'd posted it on that page, and Ian is on there as well. And then came across it in the bath, I guess.
So it was perfect timing, him being in the bath and it coming up on his feed.
Yeah. That's
Yeah, pretty much.
It's interesting you bring up the Crowded Flat session, because I wanted to ask about that. In terms of, though your debut single is just coming out this month, that kind of felt like the first time that we probably heard from you, and you introduced your sound to the world through that session. Why did you decide to do it through a live session as opposed to the conventional route of releasing music?
we were skint.
Yeah.
We couldn't. It wasn't viable for us to like go into a recording studio and really work on it from there. And luckily, we share that studio space with Harvey and Weekend It, and he obviously does that. He's also Amelia's brother, so one of the main things. But yeah, it was just kind of like Crowdy's Flat were just starting out. We were just starting out, and it was just kind of like that perfect opportunity.
I don't think were gigs a thing at that time.
No, I
gigs
don't
weren't
think
on at that time.
yeah.
It's a bit of an
either,
end of
so-
summer, right?
Yeah.
Kind of
Yeah,
before gigs
so-
came back, yeah.
Before we came back, it was kind of a lot of people were doing live streams and stuff, so we thought it was a good thing to get out, and it gives, instead of just putting out one tune as well, I think you get a nice round picture of it as well.
It's a bit of anticipation as
Yeah,
well.
because I think just before the pandemic we were kind of ready to play gigs, but then we couldn't, obviously, and that was, doing the live session was kind of a better idea to see us all together as a band and have the visual as well as just the sound.
So was the band in place going into the pandemic?
Yeah, we were like
Just before.
Because it wasn't
literally.
announced until July of last year. maybe,
Yeah,
right?
We were practicing Pirate a lot.
Yeah.
We had a few in Berkeley, and then we ended up practicing Pirate a lot,
Yeah.
got that.
and then got the studio literally
Literally,
like
like, the
right
week
at the start of lockdown. And then it was a nice wee lockdown project, the studio out in Kilmarnock as well, just
Yeah.
kitting it out,
kitting it out,
basically.
because it was just an empty room. So it's nice. It's the one that you see in the crowded flat videos of the studio space that we share. It's nice and cosy. If cold. But
Nice concrete walls.
yeah, exactly.
So how far into the band's kind of trajectory and story was First and Arrogance written? At what point did that song come about?
Was the very first song that me and Amelia wrote together. I think it was before we didn't have a name, we didn't have any idea of like what we were going to do. We just like sat down and we were like, let's start a band, because we just finished college at the same time, and we played together there. And it was kind of just like, right, well, we need to start somewhere. So it was literally just us in her living room with her like electric kit and my bass, and we just like wrote something out, and then kind of just like spitballed the lyrics and stuff, and then eventually we came up with the basis of it, and then everyone
I think it
else
was the
had
first tune that we did as well when I joined.
Yeah.
I'm fairly sure that tune is literally pretty much all we did for the first session that was in as well.
Yeah. That's pretty much.
So kind of the first
Yeah.
for most of us.
I think it's like actually older than Brontës. Like, that's like it.
Was it a good indicator when you were writing songs now? Like, is it something you still kind of look back to in terms of the sound of the band and where you kind of want to continue to head with it?
I don't know. I'd say it's one of our more, I don't know how to put it, not poppy, but like one of our more,
It's not like
in
basic,
terms of the
but it's
layout,
like,
in terms of the
yeah.
layout, it kind of follows like a traditional song structure
Yeah.
rather than some of our other tunes now, which just kind of continuously build maybe,
Yeah.
or
We've like been
they kind of
experimenting
chop
a
and
lot
change.
as well. I think that one kind of shows what we can do, and you know, it's just this like jamming and stuff, and then kind of building upon that. We obviously use that as kind of like a marker of where our sound is, but you know, we before like the second lockdown, we'd written like 8 or 9 tunes, so we kind of had like that entire catalogue, as you will, to kind of reference to when we're writing now.
I think it's quite good now as well. We've got to, even only after just doing 3 gigs, we've got to a stage where we have enough tunes and enough diversity of tunes that we can kind of chop and change our set list depending on maybe what we're playing or how long the set is.
What were those 3 gigs that you did?
So the first one was
Tuts.
Support
Tuts,
Aspires, and then we went down to Wakefield
Yeah. Yorkshire.
to
In
play at a
Yorkshire.
festival. It was like a 10-hour drive, and it was hellish, but it was also really good. And then
Sold out broadcast.
so sold out broadcast. Yeah.
How does that come about though? Like, what is the, when you haven't released any music, how do you land that support slot at Tuts and then the festival? Because those are 3,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah,
in terms of first gigs, they're good first gigs to have.
Yeah.
I
It's
really
not even
don't
like
know.
we had like a big social media thing. Like,
Yeah,
It's just
kind
like-
of like unexplainable kind of
Yeah.
like that we actually sold out.
We don't really know
podcasts
that.
as well.
Well, Tuts was after, no, we got offered Tuts before last night from Glasgow Process,
yeah,
did
I think it was
Yeah.
just
Tuts was
after-
like a set, this is going to be the first gig that we're doing, and then it just so happened that we somehow, we don't really know how, built up enough hype that we managed to sell enough tickets
Yeah.
to get the main support for Tuts, which I
Yeah.
think kind of really helped when it came to the broadcast gig. And then the label got us the one down in Yorkshire as well.
Because
so
we
that's
were
kinda-
still like so surprised that we got the main support
Yeah.
for the Spires gig as well.
Because
So-
like I think just as well as it's like selling tickets and stuff, it's also like networking, and whether that's like ambitiously networking and like going out purposely to like meet people in the scene, or it's just like going out and getting steaming and just
Yeah.
Did
popping
you all have
from
that
one
kind of
people.
firm foothold in the scene anyway, though, kind of before going into this band? You all seem like you were quite involved within it to a certain extent.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
Whether that be as people in the crowd or,
yeah,
you know, on the stage.
yeah, definitely like going to other people's gigs, and Amelia working with GigSafe and everything, and just like again
Uni
going out.
as well for
Yeah.
me.
I
I
think
know quite a
uni
lot
and
of people
like
through
us,
uni.
we and Amelia went to college together as well, so we kind of heard about a lot of people like from Glasgow bands, like the Pastels and stuff like that as well.
Yeah.
Which I don't know, it kind of helped just like knowing people in the music scene in Glasgow.
Eva's dad seems to do a lot of networking for us as
Yeah,
well.
he's our biggest
A
fan.
lot.
He
Like,
is
behind
determined
the
to be the
scenes
manager,
PR.
I think, or anything really. He's like, I'll do that. I'll do anything for you. So, which is great. Obviously, it's good.
How would you compare each of your individual kind of approaches towards creativity and your individual mentalities towards creativity and creating music?
I think we go through
We go through phases
We go through
of,
weird
like-
phases of. So recently, we've been. I've watched the Beatles documentary. You've watched the Beatles documentary.
Yeah, it's
And-
just like seeing. I think it's interesting to watch other people being creative and kind of applying that to your own. I say
got very
ethos,
complicated.
but
What did you learn from that Beatles documentary though? Because you, in that case, you are literally watching a song being.
I learned that you can like have very, very serious fights with your bandmates and like it's still kind of okay.
Yeah.
Like you don't have to like they do dramatically fall out to like a very great extent. But they also come back and write a good album, so it's like you can have total disagreements about everything to do with the music, but eventually like you will find a common kind of ground to work in, I guess.
Writing
guess that's
5/4. That's not
Yeah,
There was
not
a
there
good-
yet.
half an hour a couple of weeks ago. Try to write a tune in 5/4
Didn't go
with
well.
us with a 5/4 click going on in our ears. Try to come up with something. It was horrible.
I
It
think
was
like
horrible. Actual
creatively,
torture.
like we work well together. And it's good that all of us kind of bring in our own little things, and then
We complement each other quite nicely. I think
Yeah.
we kind of focus more on what we're doing, but in the context of how it fits. Where we pay a lot of attention, I think, to what everyone else is playing, but we're not kind of trying to change what they're playing. We're just focusing what we're playing and how we could make that the best in the context of the tune.
And we also just like shout at each other, like play like da-na-na-na-na. And then
I would just like
that's
hum
how we
these
sort
things.
it.
Yeah.
How has the way that you communicate within the band changed over the course of the last 2 years since you formed?
I don't know. Well, I literally didn't know Eva at all
Yeah.
yeah,
before the
I feel
band.
like
I knew you reasonably well.
I feel like we all, when it first started out, we kind of like Amelia was kind of the glue between all of us, and then it's kind of got to the point now where we communicate as friends and as bandmates, and it all just kind of flows quite smoothly,
Yeah.
I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't, we'll get wound up at each other, but it's not major.
It's not major.
We're
at
not
all,
breaking
at all.
up, like-
we do it in like a jokey way.
Yeah.
We wind each other up for a laugh
Yeah.
rather than like seriously like proper having digs at
Like
each
really
other.
scrapping each
Yeah.
other.
Yeah.
Like, ah.
So I think it's just we've become better pals, and that kind of works better when you're practicing as well.
Yeah. I think
Obviously,
we've had a lot of time to become better pals as well, because we've been practicing so much, and when we couldn't play gigs we would just be together quite a lot, and we have got a group chat on Facebook where we can just like drunk text each other.
How far ahead do you think as a band in terms of the kind of trajectory in the future and where you go past this debut single?
I feel like we're like
we're about a
we're like
year.
5 years ahead, but then we're also like, what the fuck do we do next week? Like,
Yeah.
we can't even get a rehearsal together. Like, and we're like, oh, we're gonna be like massive. And it's like, yeah, I see it going like really quite far if we, keep up the work and
Yeah, just keep doing the same things.
I think
the things that we're doing.
we've got a rough idea of a reasonably long term
we're breaking up next week.
objective, but in between that,
No clue.
no clue yet. We don't know what's going to happen from here to here, but we'll probably end up there maybe. at
That's
some
part of the
point.
fun of it though.
Yeah,
Yeah, exactly.
definitely.
Keeps you on your toes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you very much, guys. Thank you. Cheers.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.